Hey everybody, I'm Marlon. Welcome to the show, Marlon's 420. Hope y'all are having a great Friday night, Saturday morning, or whenever you watch this. The other night I finished the audio book, The Unremembered Empire, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the interactions and the dynamic that they had between the Lion and Konrad Kurze. Now, the first time we really see the Lion and Konrad go at each other, obviously, is all the way back on Sequalsa. I don't know what the timeline is like between the two. There's books and stuff between them. But basically, Sequalsa is where the Night Lords and the Dark Angels come together and have their big ass brawl. And the Lion and Konrad get into it. And the Lion puts him down. He's about to kill him, and the Night Lords are able to push forward and separate the Lion and Konrad. And the Dark Angels are doing the same as the Night Lords come in and try and kill the Lion. And so there's a separation as there's a huge fucking maul and brawl, and tons of, dark angels and Night Lords are dying. It was a mess. But anyway, Sevatar is Konrad's first captain, does finally get Konrad back to the ship, and Konrad is then in a coma, whatever that thing is that the Primarchs do when their bodies are so badly injured. They're trying to heal themselves. Their sons do it too, but the Primarchs are much better at it, much faster. They're completely different beings. But he's not really coming out of it. He's not healing. So Sevatar, who's a psyker, which is rare for the Night Lords, decides to break down all the wards and all the stuff that him and Konrad had put in place to keep his psychic abilities from coming forward. And he pushes himself into Konrad's mind. He's going to look for Konrad in the deep, dark recesses of the fucking Night Haunter's subconscious. It's not a fun place to be. They go down memory lane in Nostromo and several other things. And finally, Sevatar is able to pull him out. Long story short, they go back and forth with each other for a while over what he should and shouldn't have done, things he did, and then finally they come into contact with the Dark Angels again. Konrad is healed. He's pissed that he was hurt so badly. So what he does is he takes a whole bunch of his fucking Terminators, his sons with him, and they all go teleport onto the Vengeful Spirit. And he calls up Sevatar, who was on a different ship, and says, "Hey, Sev, me and the boys are over here. Get your ass over here. It's time to get down." And the teleport system is not working for Sev, so he this motherfucker does like the most Jedi thing ever. He jumps up onto the back of one of the space fighter jets and maglocks himself to the back of the jet and tells the pilot, "Let's go." And the pilot fucking slingshots out into space. Would have absolutely pancaked any human flatter than if a roller had rolled over him. But he's in power armor and he's Sevatar, which means he's got the power of protection from the riders. So anyways, they get there and there's a massive fucking brawl going on once Sevatar finds them. The thing is, they are on the Invincible Reason. There's going to be a lot more Dark Lords than Dark Angels. I keep Dark Lords, yeah. So there's going to be a lot more Dark Angels than there are Night Lords. And that's what starts finishing them off. Now Konrad, with his precognitive ability, doesn't need that to see what's right in front of his fucking face. All of his sons are about dead. So there's one point where he looks right at Sevatar, and Sevatar realizes that Konrad's about to just dipset. And that's what he does. Konrad runs. And that is it until we pick back up at the beginning of the Unremembered Empire. Now I'm thinking, where the fuck is he gonna go? He's on the ship. You just seal it off and track him down and kill him. Yeah. No. So the Lion did send a bunch of his sons to go and do just that. And Konrad took great pleasure in dismantling every single one of them and sending the pieces back, basically. So eventually the Lion is like, we're sealing off this whole part of the ship. Only I'm allowed in here. And he went hunting. And this is what really gave me a good idea of the size of these ships for the first time. When we pick up the story, the Lion has been hunting Konrad in this sealed off part of the ship for 4 fucking weeks. He has spent over a month combing through one particular part of his ship looking for a 12.5-foot demigod. Now, to his credit, Konrad is extremely good at staying out of sight. Very good. I mean, they don't call him the Night Haunter for nothing. He also has precognitive abilities. He sees the future. Despite all that, the Lion, being the hunter that he is, does manage to get up behind him, and he's about to jump down on to where he's at with his sword and just drive his sword into the back of Konrad's neck right there. And right as the Lion's about to jump, his box goes ring. I'm pretty sure that the Lion wanted to space whichever of his little brothers, as he calls them, did that. And by space, I mean put them in an airlock and open the door. That's a term that comes from The Expanse, but it's one that works very well. Just space them. Throw them out into space. Anyways, I'm sure the Lion wanted to space whichever one of his sons did that. So they realized the call was to tell him about the light that they saw that Gilliman's using, which is called the Pharos device. Huge, big-ass light bulb, basically, that declares, here I am. And with their warp storm going on, they cannot see Terra. They cannot see the Emperor, right? They cannot see the Emperor's light. It's covered. So the Astronomicon has not been seen for years. For all they know, it's gone. The Earth is destroyed. But this little miniature version pops up, and that's what they were calling to tell the Lion. So the Lion sets course for Macrage. They get there. The Lion and a bunch of his sons go down. But up in the ships, the Lion being the Lion, and the secret keeper and the preparer that he is, on top of the sun that says loyalty is its own reward, he has prepared a massive dropship incursion to be deployed. If he sees anything on Macrage where he thinks that Gilliman has gone wrong, he pushes the button just like a fucking nuke, but instead of a nuke, it's dropships. So, after they're gone, Curze uses his Primarch abilities and his precognition to get out of his cell. He then gets onto the outside of the ship with no helmet or anything. He's walking out in vacuum with no helmet, no real, his suit's not secured. He is in vacuum. And he's just looking around. Now, he did that on purpose because obviously, because his precognitive abilities showed him a way to get back into the ship where he wanted to be. And where he wanted to be was at the computer that would give the command to drop all those pods. He uses his DNA to give the command because the ship's like, sure, it's a Primarch. Of course I'm going to fucking follow his command. It's advanced AI. They follow the Primarch's orders regardless of which Primarch, right? So he orders the drop. And why does he do that? Because he wants off the fucking ship. And he's trying to figure out how to get off, and every scenario he looks into the future to see, he dies, except one. And in that scenario, if one ship drops, of course it's easy to shoot. If 10,000 ships drop, shooting the one that he's in is extremely unlikely, especially because they don't know to aim at it because they don't know he's loose. And the Lion hasn't told Guilliman any of this yet. First Guilliman hears about any of this is as the drop pods are being released and thousands of Dark Angels are hurtling towards Macrage. The Lion's in a bit of a fucking weird position there because then he's got to beg, literally, Guilliman not to blow his sons out of the sky. He also still, at that point, doesn't tell Guilliman that Konrad was on the ship. It's not until later on, even further, where shit is just absolutely going terrible. Konrad is being Konrad, doing the damage for the lulls, the blood, he is just fucking shit up everywhere. And he's having a really good time doing it. The best example I could think of to compare him to would be the Joker in The Dark Knight Rises, or not The Dark Knight Rises, whichever one that was, with Heath Ledger. Just fucking crazy. And that's Konrad. And then on the other hand, you have the Lion, who is better at keeping secrets than Edgar Allan Hoover ever was. I mean, this motherfucker is a stony sept. He does not let anything go, to the point where it's actually detrimental, as we just saw. He did not tell Guilliman that he had the most dangerous brother of all of their brothers, probably, in my opinion. I'll do another video on that. On the Invincible Reason with him. And Guilliman doesn't find out until a bunch of his sons and citizens are being killed. And on the flip side of that, Konrad, I don't think Konrad even knows how to fucking lie, right? I mean, this motherfucker will tell you exactly what you ask every single time because he sees the future, he sees his death, he sees fate, and he believes, and I think knows, that nothing is going to stop that. So what does he care if he gives you whatever information you want to know, or if he tells you about a prophecy you're asking about? He tells the truth, and he's the bad guy. But the Lion lies constantly, or just does not give information at all when it's needed, which can still be considered a lie, sort of. I mean, they couldn't be more different. I actually sort of wondered if they wrote the characters this way in some ways just to make them this opposed. And then you even have their fighting styles. You have Konrad, who has these big ass fucking claws that are just used to get close and personal and make a mess. And then you have the Lion, who is the consummate knight, you know, all about the honor and all about, I see you, now let's get this done. I mean, they're just, and when I did the video about Fulgrim and Perturabo, they were so different. These two are almost even more different. So the Lion, he's just, for him, like he said, you know, loyalty is its own reward. And that is what he is about. Whereas Konrad is all about fate. He sees his fate and he is marching towards it, but he wants to know why. And with all these, with Reddit and YouTube and everything else, when I was coming up and learning about the Horus Heresy and the Primarchs and everything, a lot of people would always say and agree that his obsession with the future and fate is what did him in and drove him insane. And it probably is. If you knew when you were going to die, that'd probably fucking drive you nuts too. But Sanguinius knew his death. Now, people say like that Konrad went wrong because he said there is no other way, and Sanguinius didn't. But Sanguinius did to some extent. He said that that fight with Horus was fated and could not be delineated from. Now, Konrad has something very similar where when he's going through his prophecies in his mind, the options, what could happen, some feel like, you know, possible, blah, blah, blah. But then he always will arrive at one where there's something inside him saying, that's it, and there is nothing else. And from what we've seen, he is right over and over and over. So if you're Konrad and your thing is fate and you're locked in, I mean, that's what he does. And on this side, he likes to get weird. I mean, this is a dude who's got bodies hanging from his ship in his personal space that he talks to, right? So, anyways, they could not be more opposite, and to see them interact on Macrage was really, really funny. I mean, especially when they're needling each other back and forth like brothers actually fucking do. If you have any brothers, I have two, an older and a younger. That fucking needling and fighting. And then when they throw in Gilliman and then Sanguinius. So, anyways, I don't know. I guess that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you're thinking. Well, I'll say this. I am going to do a video on another video on the Unremembered Empire, because it's the only book that I know of so far that has 4 brothers in it at the same time. Now, there are some other books in the Heresy series that have 3, 4, 2, 3 brothers at a time, but they're not in the same place, and they're not working together and or fighting each other. They're casting their images, etc., etc. Usually it's only 1 or 2. So having all 4 on Macrage in the Unremembered Empire was fucking amazing, special, and fun. And I'm going to talk about that probably this weekend. Anyways, let me know what you're thinking about Konrad and the Lion and how they interacted with each other, how ridiculously different they are, how the Lion focuses in on this is my duty, and Konrad makes fun of anything to do with duty. He just sees no point in it. So let me know what you thought. Let me know if you enjoyed the audio book. I actually didn't like some of the voice choices, but you know, that is what it is. Hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, and I'll be back here in the next couple days. We appreciate y'all. I'm Marlon. I'm out.